Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. It's late in the evening here in H-Town, close to 9:30. I am dropping in on you just to talk briefly about the latest domestic terrorist activity, which happened to take place here in Texas. Before I get started, I just want to remind you that we are still in the process of raising funds to continue the work we're doing with Black Men Lead, Rite of Passage Initiative for young black males, and Restoring Ghettos Forgotten Daughters for young females who may be suffering from traumatic experiences due to childhood sexual abuse, incest, molestation, rape, etc., domestic violence, and that goes into young adulthood as well. We need your support. Those who have followed me for any time are definitely aware of the work that we've done over the last 20 plus years, definitely over the last 16. So we need your support. The way that you support, you can look in the description box on any video on this YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see how you can give in a number of different ways. I'm not going to linger on that. It's late. I thought about doing a live stream, but again, it's late. I'm tired, and I don't know how really how this is going to go. It's been a very rough week for myself and my family as well. But I did want to talk about it because there are some things that are blaring. This guy, Patrick Crusius, or however you pronounce his name, he wrote a manifesto that he posted that I was able to capture and save. I've shared the link where I've saved it to with a number of different people I respect and trust to just take a look at it. It's interesting in a number of different ways, but what we have here, first and foremost, is yet another instance in which blacks who simply identify with their blackness and are willing to stand up and speak the truth about the perils of being black are being labeled black identity extremists and put on lists and watched and harassed, while white nationalist extremists are just teeing off. And basically, it's crazy because I've covered so many senseless deaths of black men who cops feared, even though they were unarmed, being shot dead, being handcuffed, laying in prone position, shot in their back and killed, being killed in Walmart, being killed in a park playing with a toy gun, being choked to death. And the list goes on. Sean Bell killed coming out of his bachelor party because undercover officers saw a gun in his car in the dark from 50 feet away, a gun that didn't exist. And I can go on and on, from Byron Gillum in Houston in the late 80s, early 90s, and so many more that we still haven't gotten justice for. And yet we look at people like Dylan Roof, we look at this guy today and so many others, that it seems that the only way that one of these white nationalist extremists ends up dead is if they kill themselves. Because obviously cops all of a sudden get an immense amount of restraint and control when it comes to taking them into custody, whereas they fear for their lives for no apparent reason and open fire for, to shoot a black man with 50 plus shots isn't uncommon. And so that is amazing. But what I did when I read the manifesto, this wasn't some guy, they're going to try to sell it, lone wolf shooter, mentally ill. Guy wasn't mentally ill. Guy had some ideologies that were extreme, and he had very specific purpose in why he was doing it. It is his belief that the influx of Latinos into the U.S., especially into Texas, which he grew up in, and changing the population dynamic in a way that eventually they're going to become the majority. They're going to take over all of the political positions and offices, and they're going to create laws that are going to serve them. And they're literally, by way of population, seizing America. That's the gist of it. And when he addressed the idea that people would call him hypocritical, being that Europeans came here and pretty much did that thing to the Indians. And he actually said, that makes my point. He said that the Indians suffered because they failed to take the invasion of Europeans seriously, and that he and others like him wouldn't make that mistake, and that neither party is any good for the U.S. The Democrats are totally liberals and looking to provide all these different, how did he put it? These different benefits and free health care and everything else for immigrants who are coming over illegally, and basically setting them up to be able to take over the country. Republicans aren't that much better, but there is some division among Republicans. Some are not for immigrants, but the problem is that they're all for corporations. So he has a problem with the whole structure. He's come up in his mind strategically. What I noticed about it was that his drive down to El Paso from the Dallas area, he's from Frisco, which is basically a subdivision of Dallas, and he drives down to El Paso for the purpose of inflicting as much carnage as possible to people who are here from south of the border. He gets down there and goes in. This guy even basically tested which would be the most lethal weapon, an AR-15 or AK-47 with a specific type projectiles, specific type of bullet. And he said that the AK-47 has this bullet, and I can't remember the name of it. I have it all, but I'll fill in more on it tomorrow. But this AK-47, there's a bullet you can put in it that pretty much shadows in the same way that a hollow point from a firearm, from a handgun, would do, causing massive damage. But the projectile from the AR-15 supposedly flips when it hits the body, and it rolls through the body, flipping, causing massive and optimal damage. And so he was basically going back and forth. And which one? From what we can tell from the video footage, he chose the AK-47. And we know that he last I was able to confirm 19 were dead. I heard up as high as 22. Between 19 and 22 were dead, and another 20 plus injured. Children running around the store screaming and hollering. There was a black PFC from the Army who happened to be in the store, and he saved some young children while all of this was going on. Only bright spot. And then from what I hear, because it's right there at El Paso and Laredo and all that, you have a lot of illegals there. So now you got people who probably have people dead or wounded that are afraid to check on them because they might be deported. I'm not here to fight for immigrants. That's not why I'm here. My goal is always to fight for my people. And when my people get footing and we have a position of power in which we can defend ourselves and we can act autonomously and we can do that, maybe we can look at the plight of others. But what I am looking at is, what does this mean in totality? I'm not for senseless killing. I'm not for being a coward and shooting up innocent people to make a statement. If you want to stand against the government, stand against the government. If you want to take a stand and you won't, do whatever, but walking in and killing innocent people is not something that I condone in any way. I think it is a cowardice act. I think it is reflective of how they, and what I don't want to do, and one of the primary reasons I decided to talk about this tonight, is I don't want the narrative to be so written and so heavily entrenched in his hatred for Latinos, and get the idea that it had that he didn't have hatred for us. He would have actually loved to shoot up blacks based off what I could gather from his manifesto and from his Twitter page and some other things I was able to find before it all got shut down and sanitized, is that there's definitely a hatred for blacks, but the new information that's coming across and his new look at what's happening south of the border and how the influx of illegals or even people who are trying to come the legal way is how it's going to impact him. So that became a new focus for him. That became his new battle cry, his new statement. So he changed, and that was his way of impacting it. Another thing that I'm not surprised by, and is probably the thing that's being talked about the most, is the level of ease at which he was subdued and taken into custody after killing at least 19 people and then wounding another 20 plus. How he was taken into custody, he wasn't roughed up. I mean, it almost looks like a civil conversation between he and the two officers that were arresting him. Now, obviously that's at a distance with no sound, and the cop could have been saying some hostile stuff, but in a way that nobody detected it. And that's me playing devil's advocate, because it really doesn't look like that. It looks like, hey, another white guy goes off, gets arrested, and he'll go down and face, the tune of, he'll face punishment for what he's done. But when you've got so many black men who have died for no reason, black men who have died for being in the wrong place, black men who have died for having an air gun, black kids who have died for having a play gun, and everything in between, and then you look at, especially those who are unarmed, not resisting any of those other things. And I mean, resisting shouldn't be an automatic death penalty. I've seen white people resist, kick, spit, bite, fight. I've seen one guy take a cop's baton and beat the hell out of him and his partner. They don't shoot him. I can see a black man asking, why, what did I do, end up dead? And it's not surprising, and I think that that's the thing that we're going to have to get out of all of this, is that we are targets. We are the enemy of the establishment. We are feared for a number of different reasons, and there's never going to be complete harmony between us and Europeans because of the way that Europeans have established their current position. And when you've done that kind of dirt, you don't trust anybody. When you've done that kind of dirt, you're expecting it at some point to come back on you. When you know the history of those who are oppressed, you got to figure at some point they're going to figure out who they are. And when they do, you got to think, hey, it's coming back on me. There's so much to look at with this, and it's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out in the next few days. I just wanted to be proactive and address a few things. If you can, send me an email and I'll send you the link to this manifesto, because I'm pretty sure they've tried to take it down. I know that every time I would post it on Facebook, they would take it down and say it was violation of the community guidelines. So I just start having people send me their address, and I set it up on my Evernote, and then I made it shareable so people can actually go to my Evernote page where it's saved and view it and read it and share it with others. So if you really want to see it, email me and send me your email address, or email me and I'll have your email address and I'll get that out to you. I just want to be proactive, like I said, in dealing with this. There's so much more to talk about in the mindset of white nationalists, especially on the extreme end. What that means, how we're being viewed, what can we expect moving forward. I'm expecting this to intensify. I'm expecting that as they become more fearful of losing their privilege, of losing their way of life or losing the top spot, they're going to become desperate. And as they become desperate, they will take desperate measures. And we need to be prepared. The last thing that we need is to fail to prepare ourselves for what's to come, to take what they're doing lightly, to be dismissive of what is happening. It is immensely important that we understand what's going on, why it's going on, and to understand that it's probably going to intensify over the next couple of years and maybe even longer. And we've got to be ready to stand our ground and defend our position and to advance our position. This is a time of revolution, and everybody knows it except us. And everybody's starting to move and take their role and their position, and they're trying to establish where they're going to be when the dust settles. We're going to have to be proactive in that same way. The America as we've known it, I won't say the America as far as being great. The country's never been great. The country's always been a deceptive, lying, manipulative organism that has caused and wreaked devastation and havoc in so many different ways. The truth of the matter is this country is in and of itself a murdersome country. And so when you see people like this guy killing people, he's simply following the model and the plan of this country when something doesn't go its way. And so we've got to be able to protect ourselves. I'm going to get off of here, get this video set up and done since I'm shooting it or recording it. I'm going to get up, set up, done, and upload it as soon as I can. Don't forget to support the Odyssey Project, Black Men Lead, Restoring Ghettos Forgotten Daughters, Music is Life, the Black Empowerment Community, the Black Community Empowerment Initiative, the new Safe Haven Spiritual Center, and community outreach. All of those things are happening. You can check them out on the site. But as of right now, we definitely need your support. With that being said, I'm going to check off of here. I'll be back tomorrow. More energy, a little bit more coherent. It has been a long, excuse me, it's been a long day. It's been a long week. For those who have been sending prayers for my family, I want to thank you guys. Light and love, and so much more to my family. I want to say thank you for that. I mean, it's just been crazy. Some of the things my wife don't want me to share right now because she believes that there's some negative energy being aimed at us. But it's been crazy. But we are going to get through it. In the meantime, thanks everybody. Don't forget to support the Odyssey Project. The link is in the description box. I'm out of here. Everybody have a great one. Peace.